kitchen. Today I'm making a nice little meal today. I had a taste for roast. Family said they had a taste for roast. So we're doing roast carrots and potatoes. We have all our ingredients here today. We're making mashed potatoes. I'm not sure if I'm going to do garlic mash, but I may. We're doing greens. So these are our ingredients for our roast. I'm actually going to use some liquid smoke, some Worcestershire sauce, some cooking wine, I got my olive oil out for spray just in case I need that. Heavy cream. I have my garlic mince. I have my Better Than Bouillon beef flavor, Lowry seasoning salt. I have also here my garlic and onion seasoning. May have to use that as well. Have my mushrooms here, my shiitake mushrooms, my garlic powder, and my cracked black pepper here. And I have 3 sweet potatoes. I was just pulling things out of the pantry and all, so I may end up just doing a little sweet potatoes on the side, who knows. But here is my cheese that I'm going to use as well. Had these, but I did pick up my asiago cheese right there, so I'm going to go ahead and grate all that up. Have some margarine butter out, and this is my greens. I have my mustard, my turnip, and I got some collard here. So I'm going to go ahead and mix those together. It's not a lot, so you know how greens do. Once you clean them, pick them and clean them, and who knows, chop them up. Ones that likes to chop theirs up. Once that's all done and you put them in the pot, it shrinks down. So we'll see how much we get out of these greens here today. I'm not making a lot of greens, but I needed to have some greens in my life. So these are also the roaster that I'm going to use. This is the roaster I'm going to use. I'm going to do these potatoes for my mashed potatoes. These are yellow potatoes, nice and creamy potatoes. I have some mac and cheese, and I'm going to go ahead and use. I have my flour here for my roast, and here's my pans here, and my pot as well. And over here, I may end up making some cheesecake, and I have my buttermilk cornbread that I'm going to go ahead and use for cornbread. A lot. That's a mouthful. So I got all that going on today on a Monday. How about that? I didn't do it on a Sunday. Wasn't feeling up to it. But I also, too, did mention, have my crock pot out / pressure cooker. I may end up trying to force my roast in there after I use my pan. And I'm going to sear that. So I'll show you what I'm going to do with that later. But then I'm going to go ahead and pressure cooker it because you want it to cook a little faster. And then I'm going to put it in my roaster, take that out, put it in the oven with my carrots and my potatoes and my onions and bell peppers and whatnot. So that's what I'm doing today on a Monday. And I will show you how I put all these good, delicious ingredients together. There's a lot going on today. So bear with me, and thank you for watching in advance. See you in a little bit. So here I'm actually getting ready to open up my roast. I have 2 nice chuck roasts here. I washed and cleaned my greens, and I actually chopped those up and put those in a pot. I'm making little slits inside of my roast. I'm going to put some garlic cloves in those. I love garlic. Oh my goodness, it just makes it just so tasty and filled with flavor. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there on both sides. So I end up flipping it both sides. Put in some oil. I didn't use my olive oil. I'm going to use some vegetable oil. I put that in a pan. I'm seasoning my roast with some Lowry seasoning salt right now. And I'm putting some I think I end up just putting some adobe seasoning there. That's what I use as well. But then that's the garlic powder too. So I did use some of my garlic onion seasoning. I put that on top of my roast. And so I'm going to go ahead and season. You got to season both sides. So I flip that and going to put a little bit more Lawry's on there. And I'm going to go ahead and put some Worcestershire sauce. So I put that on there as well to give it flavor. I did add black pepper, cracked black pepper on there too that I didn't show. There's my flour that I'm going to go ahead and put on both sides of my roast, and so that I can actually get a nice brownness to the roast on both sides. And that kind of helps the cooking process to go a little faster. I cleaned off my board there. You always got to clean off your cooking board. I got some smoked turkey wings, so I end up cutting those up so I can put those into my greens. So I was able to get both of my roasts because it shrunk down a little bit. Got both of them and put them in my pressure cooker. I'm putting a little liquid smoke in there as well to give it a nice little smoky smell to it. Some red wine. I'm using the rest of that I had left over in there. So don't think that I used the whole bottle. I used half of what I had, or the whatever that was left in the bottle. I did put powdered cloves in the roast already, but I'm going to put a little bit more minced garlic in there. I'm sorry, I just love garlic. I use it a lot. So I run out of it a lot. I go out and buy some more. I use it a lot. So now here I'm adding some water. So you want to go ahead so you can saturate all of that good flavors together. Make sure that it's cooking well together. I'm chopping up the rest of my veggies there. I actually have my mushrooms and whatnot together. So I'm slicing up my onions now. That's a spicy banana pepper there. It's not too spicy, but I love to put it. My mom put it in her greens, and I've been doing it ever since. It gives it a lot of flavor, nice flavor to it, nice little kick. So I went on ahead and seasoned a little bit there, little Lawry's in there, a couple of crushed peppers in there, not too much. Don't want it to be too spicy, but it comes together really well. And so I did chop up those sweet potatoes, and I'm going to put them on top of the stove and give it some flavor. There's my cheese and my veggies that I'm going to go ahead and put in the roast. I didn't show a picture of how I was making my mac and cheese, but I did make a cream sauce as well with a sliced cheese, milk and butter, a little milk and butter, and I pour that on top of it after I put all the shredded cheese in there and added it up together. And I always use pet milk. There's my sweet potatoes. I put a little bit of some dried oatmeal on there and a little flour and butter and put it on top to give a nice little crisp. So there's my roast, came out of the pressure cooker. Now I'm going to go ahead and add it into the oven so it can get brown and nice and tender as well. It's pretty good now from the pressure cooker, but I'm going to go ahead and just add everything else to it so it can all come together and it can form a nice gravy at the bottom from the flour that I put on top of the roast as well. That's going to bring and break everything down. I put a little bit of that better than bouillon beef flavor, the broth in there, and oh my goodness, I just love that. It just kind of just go well with everything, and it browned the gravy up just a little bit more, so I didn't have to use any like kitchen bouillon or anything like that. There's my macaroni. It's ready and brown and good to go. I'm making my cornbread right here, my buttermilk cornbread. I'm putting some buttermilk in here as well. Those are my potatoes, my yellow golden potatoes. They're very creamy. I mentioned that earlier on, but very creamy. I put a little bit of the oil in the pan from the cornbread. I put a little veggie oil in the oven, let that get brown and hot, and then I put that inside of my cornmeal. My mom been doing that for years. I saw it. It just kind of bring all the ingredients together, break that milly taste to it down. So that's what I did with that. There's my mashed potatoes. Putting some margarine in there, and I'm going to go to add some cream in there next. And then I mash all that together to just, they're so creamy. I like to use those yellow golden potatoes as well. It's a couple of potatoes I like to use, but I use those as well, depending on what I'm making and what it pairs with. So there's my cornbread. Oh yeah, I put some butter on that, baby. Now there's the roast. It's good to go. There is the candy yams. The macaroni and cheese is nice and brown. My greens are nice and flavorful. I tasted and didn't need much seasoning at all. Smoked turkeys in there as well. Mashed potatoes. There's my onions and my tomatoes that I love to put on my greens. And there we have it. A nice Monday meal. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate you.